Funding for this program is provided by Annenberg CPB.
You're probably familiar with the works of the renowned English playwright William Shakespeare. But do you know what his works are really all about? How did political views of the time period influence the brain of our favorite literary mastermind? Politics in Macbeth, this time on Discovering Shakespeare.
Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty place from day to day. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death.
Shakespeare was an active playwright during the reign of Queen Elizabeth and King James I. While his plays during Elizabeth's reign have a light and whimsical air to them, plays written while James was king have a dark and serious undertone. Why would this be the case? Find out today on Discovering Shakespeare. Dr. Julia Lee is a Nobel laureate in the field of historical politics. She knows much about the history in Macbeth by Shakespeare. She is currently working on her latest study, the ancestral lineage of the Scottish royal family.
Well, you see, Macbeth was written in 1606, a time shortly after the well-known gunpowder plot of 1605. As a largely Protestant country, England seeks a Protestant replacement for the late Elizabeth, James I, or son of Mary Queen of Scots. The gunpowder plot conspiracy was led by a group of Catholics opposed to a Protestant monarch. In an attempt to commit regicide, the group, among them Guy Fawkes, planned to set fire to the large amounts of gunpowder in the royal cellar. King James was disappointed to find that among the conspirators was Catesby, a respected man from a noble family. Some literary critics even believe him to be the model of the character Macbeth. The conspirators were eventually tried and found guilty of treason, executed as their punishment.
So Shakespeare was writing to impress King James?
Yes, he actually directly addressed the interests of King James. The play was meant to be a private performance for the king himself. Shakespeare includes the witch's prediction of Banquo's family legacy, a representation of King James' ascent to the throne. Shakespeare further adds in the Scottish family line, the issue of honor in government, and the warning of future regicides as homage to King James. The idea was to portray the views of the king for the king.
Oh, I think I sense a spirit. This tool is a device used by our experts to detect the presence of supernatural beings. Oh, I think I found something. Here we have Dr. Lee, a psychologist at Stanford University, an expert in the study of witchcraft. She is currently studying the techniques of witches in early 17th century England. This is the exact witchcraft that intrigued King James during his reign.
In 1597, James wrote Demonology, a text in which he proposed witchcraft a reality and condemned the people who practiced it. Now, it was very well known that King James was fascinated by the nature of witchcraft. I mean, who would write an entire book about it if you weren't interested in it?
Who would do that?
Actually, on second thought, who wouldn't be interested in witchcraft?
I certainly am. Now, do you think you could read us one of your favorite passages to show us about this witchcraft?
Yes, that I can do. Ah, here it is. It feels like home.
Oh, that's one of my favorites too.
What are these, so withered and so wild in their attire, that look not like the inhabitants of the earth, and yet are on it? You seem to understand me, by each at once her choppy finger laying upon her skinny lips. You should be women, and yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so. Yeah.
That's a good one.
This really lays out the essence of the three witches themselves. Their identities are questionable, and later they simply vanish because they so desire to. The witches add a mysterious and supernatural aura to the play, which could not have been achieved in any other way.
It couldn't. Dr. Lee is an English professor here at Trabuco Hills University and has been nominated for several national merits. She's done copious research on the literary genius behind the work of Macbeth.
While it is true that the underlying theme in Macbeth is in the downfall of Macbeth's excessive ambition, Literary critics have also viewed the play as a political message to warn King James. Author Gary Wills, who wrote a literary text entitled Witches and Jesuits, Shakespeare's Macbeth, sees the play less as a psychological study of a man undone by ambition than as a political allegory about regicide and its apocalyptic implications for society as a whole. At the core of Macbeth is the message that regicide is against the natural order of God. This is why Macbeth is so plagued throughout the continuation of the play. He cannot escape the horrifying fact that he murdered the king and more.
Shakespeare took a story supposedly set in the 11th century, around the year 1050, and filled it with many references to events taking place in 1605 in England, in particular to one of the most dramatic events in English history, the Gunpowder Plot, which had happened just the year before. No wonder the play bears little resemblance to the historical reality. Betrayal in Julius Caesar, next time on Discovering Shakespeare. I'm Bailee Margolis.